On this week's Entrepreneurs at Scale podcast, I am delighted to be joined by Pavel, Obod, and Anna Bovda. I had the privilege of meeting the two of them when they came to join a workshop that we were running in London about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And it was very humbling to hear their backstory and where they've come from. And in essence, they are a business that's based in Ukraine. So we're going to hear a bit more about the Sloboda studio as we go through this whole of what I hope is going to be an amazing and fascinating podcast. So guys, Pavel, Anna, you're very, very welcome to this edition. And again, it's so humbling to have you on the show. And first up, it'd be just great just to get a bit of your backstory and hear about before all the troubles, a bit about the what got you into founding the studio, and a bit more about what is it you do and your entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you for having us. Just to give also happy to be with our CEO Anna, who represented us, and maybe I just give like some short story what was before Sloboda, and we'll trying to be really short. So I think I had some kind of entrepreneurial points even in school, like selling some gums to my classmates, and also organizing some small company which made different works for other students for different schools around. And then when I finished graduated from my university, which is maybe a little bit unusual, I went for internship to Middle East in Jordan, which is not really common for Ukrainians actually to go somewhere, being student, especially in that time. And then I got back to Ukraine, and I decided I don't want to work anymore as employees. I started doing as freelancer. And finally, I founded that company in 2010, which now became like Sloboda Studio. We almost 100 people, and providing services, customer software services for clients from United States and from Europe Union. And then on the middle of my journey of Sloboda Studio, it's also happened that I somehow decided to firstly hire one CEO. His name Yaroslav, and then in a couple of years we decided to change and hired Anna. And now thanks for Anna, our company is growing, and thanks actually by scaling up frameworks. What I just read a book, maybe I just from my friend has recommended me, and then we started to implement, and we implemented this last 2 years. And what I really like about this framework, that whenever you implement it, you see a result very fast. And like everything what you read, it actually is implementable. I don't know if it's right English word for this, but it's something what I like. And Anna, maybe if you can tell about yourself and your journey to Sloboda Studio, it will be very nice, I guess.
Thank you, Pavel. Thank you, Niels. Thank you so much for inviting us and providing us with the opportunity to share the information about Ukraine and about the opportunities and obviously disadvantages that we face these days. But a little bit about me. I am the CEO. I joined Sloboda Studio in 2019, and CEO I became just 2 years ago, I think, at the beginning of the war. So it was like a double kill for me. The new position and the war has just started like 3 or 4 months. So it was quite challenging. And in terms of entrepreneurship, I think that it's really cool and important for every founder and owner to think strategically about their company. And when they understand that the company needs the next level or the next step, it's always a complicated decision to step out a little bit, as Pavel did, and give other people to make the company more successful and the one that will scale in the future. So Pavel is super good at starting something. So he's a real entrepreneur, and I'm a kind of a person that is either accept this and then we move with this forward, or on the opposite, discuss this and postpone to the later time. So it's a great combination, and a lot of wonderful books say that there's 2 different or even 4 different types of people, and you need to understand your strong and your weak points and then work in a team. That's what brings success to the company.
And so how do you split your respective roles? And just keeping on with you at the moment, Anna, what are your kind of key areas of focus as a CEO, and then I'll go back to Pavel as a founder. What do you find is the kind of the key areas for you?
Yeah, first of all, just a small joke. My main goal is not to implement everything the same way as Pavel brings this to my table. So
Yeah.
this my task number one, but this is definitely, I'm joking here, but I'm responsible for all the areas in Sloboda Studio: finances, sales, marketing, delivery, HR and recruitment. But we work tightly with Pavel because we kind of the people that have the same view to the Sloboda's future, and we just correct each other in our steps. And it's super cool when you have the person that you can like ask for an advice or think of how to make this in a better way, or on the opposite, bring cool things into our life. And as Pavel said, he's always full of new ideas, and I somehow need to filter them and make the real deadlines for their implementation.
I think it was a reason why we couldn't work that well with my previous CEO, Yaroslav, because he couldn't manage my ideas. He was always crazy and irritated. Why you bring me so many ideas? And I'm actually perfect in this. She knows what and where to apply. Just on my side, when I step out from the company as being CEO and hiring then finally Anna, I also run some other companies, which is also doing kind of consulting for other software agency, mostly from Ukraine. And I really like community, what we built. I get some inspiration, get some ideas from there, and then bring to Anna to implement. Actually, I also invite sometimes Anne to provide some workshops about sales for other agency. We organize conferences, some events, some workshops there. And in Sloboda, I think I'm represent our board, and we have we just 2 hours ago we had a weekly meeting with her, and also bring some ideas how we can grow our company, bring some experts what we can use. Also, as I supervise sometimes some small processes which I think I can get some add value, like finances, or maybe helping with some international entities. Just my main goal is actually to help and to do her work better and a little bit supervising.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. How difficult was it to make the decision to step away from the CEO and bring someone in to do that? Because for a lot of entrepreneurs, that kind of the notion of being the CEO and the leader is kind of ultimately where they want to get to. So how difficult was it to make a decision to step back and bring in someone who is going to be professionally taking the company forward?
I think I did too much delegation and I couldn't stop. So I hired first, there was a guy, Yaroslav, before Anna. Now he's my partner, and he also doing some delivery part of our company. And I just saw nice, bright guy. We shared some similar values, and he showed some progress on project.
What advice would you give as a CEO to other CEOs about how to deal with a founder?
I can't say this. Sorry, Neil. This would be another podcast that Pavel would never see.
All right.
I'm joking, but I need to say that, first of all, let me comment a little bit and I will answer your question. You need to see Pavel when he brings a new idea. And definitely he needs the CEO, because this provides him gives them the opportunity to spare the time for his new ideas and new opportunities for him. And you need also to see his face when it comes to the operations questions. And this is not what makes him feel happy. That's my personal point of view. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not. So the most important thing for people like Pavel, or for real entrepreneurs, to think of this not as that you provide the responsibility, but that you spare the time for new initiatives from your side. And talking about the hired CEOs who are not the owners, I think that it depends, of course, on the owner that you work with, but I repeat this phrase all the time. My main client is Sloboda Studio. Pavel Obod is one of the most important stakeholders that I work with. But my main goal is to make the company scale or feel good or whatever. So we have to look at the financial KPIs and see if we are okay or not okay. And if we are okay, I need to inform Pavel about this. Or on the opposite, for example, if there's something goes wrong, we think together how to improve this. So my main client is Sloboda Studio, though I was hired by Pavel Obod. So that's the key, I think, and this gives you a very strong position in all your discussions, agreeing or disagreeing with the owners of the company. So when you talk not only about the owners' goals and what they actually need, net profit, but you also talk about the company as the life creature that you need to help to move forward and become more and more successful.
It's really interesting. I think there's one entrepreneur that we can reference in the UK, Sir Richard Branson, from the Virgin Group, who you'd imagine he's just got a wealth of ideas all the time. I mean, he must probably drive some of his CEOs up the wall because he's always coming up with a new idea on running a railway or an airline or a music shop. But you know that Richard, by his own admission, wouldn't make a great CEO or an MD because he's just got far too many ideas, and that's where the genius he brings. So he has to make sure that he has great CEOs and general managers each running these operating companies to do that. So I think I absolutely get that point, that how do you work alongside someone like Pavel who's got all the ideas without kind of dampening his enthusiasm too much?
First of all, if the idea is really cool, but for example, we don't have the capacity right now, it's like a practical advice. So you need just to agree with Pavel. So Pavel, let's go back to this question like in a week, or let's plan it for the next quarter, or
Nice.
for example, so this is the communication when you talk about real plans. Or for example, you can say, Pavel, this is not the best time, so let's go back to this conversation like later, so without the deadline. So this is what really works very well with the people who have a lot of ideas in their head. But sometimes, for example, from my perspective, I don't think, for example, that this is a good idea, but I think that, for example, Pavel is really pushing this. I accept it and do it as it is. So this doesn't mean I do it in a bad way. No, on the opposite. So I try to switch my enthusiasm the same as his enthusiasm, and this helps me to see the situation or the new improvement in some other corner or some other direction. And I think that 90% of Pavel ideas we implement, and this really works super good for the company. Because, for example, for Pavel, it's just the idea. For me, it's like, okay, so I have the whole operation process, how I can implement this. Oh, there's so many blockers. Oh, blah, 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 blah. But as a result, when I have this same enthusiasm, it really works super good. It was with scaling up, like it was the same, actually. Pavel was like with this idea, scaling up. I said, okay, scaling up, who knows the scaling up? And then he started bringing me to the education. He like shared the information with me, and I became the same enthusiastic about this. And I said, oh, so smart things. And I started getting deeper. So that's, I think, not only, you can say, oh, the CEO should do this. No, this is the conversation. And definitely you need to stand to the position of the other person, as we quite often do in negotiations, to see their perspective. And as I told you, Sloboda is my client. This is my main client. If it's good for Sloboda, I need to accept this and just implement.
Yeah, it's interesting. I heard recently the full different sort of imperatives of the CEO. And I might be interested to get your position on this one, because the 4 points were the CEO should be really the person who sets down the vision for the company. So really getting clarity on that. The CEO is also accountable for making sure that the culture is alive and well within the organization. The CEO is also accountable for the hiring and firing of the management team. And finally, the allocation of resources, where we're going to allocate capital or human resources. So it'd be interesting, that kind of notion. Who does that across your organization? Is that something that you do between you? Is that something you recognize even as kind of the really important fundamentals of successful leadership?
It seems to me that vision is more on the Pavel side.
Okay, interesting.
I think it's like maybe 80% of this. So we only can, for example, if I see some opportunities inside of the Sloboda, for example, if we make the SWOT analysis and okay, or for example, if I see super strong sides, I could put the Pavel's attention to this as well. But in terms of vision, for example, in terms of like how we see the company, and it's also very interesting when you find the right person to work with. You don't have the contradictions in terms of vision. Okay, so Pavel thinks he pronounced this, and I really don't know if this is his thought or mine, because it's quite in 90%, 95% of cases will look the same, because Pavel would never come to me and say, Anna, let's fire like 50% of our people because I want the net profit. And I would never come to Pavel with this idea. So this is in terms of like vision, strategic or attitude and culture. And definitely as I'm in operations, I think it's the synergy 50-50. So I align with Pavel. For example, if there's some hard decisions that had to be made, I can say that I share responsibility, but I just like ask Pavel, are you okay with this? So here's my strategy according to this, that person. And this is the way how we treat people, what opportunities we give for them, how we educate them further. So I think that here 50-50, and like this rest of the questions, like this third and fourth part, this is more on me. Maybe Pavel disagree, so maybe some comments.
Yes, thank you. I really like that CEO also share this vision function, not only founder provide this. And I think it's really crucial for us that we try to communicate a lot, which is a little bit challenging because we are divided by different countries. Before we were living in one city, and it was easier before the war. Now we spread over all Europe. What I found is really, and actually this idea I got from Scaling Up book, is to have it every 3 months meeting together, with team. But we try.
And you mentioned you're in different countries. So where are you right now?
Myself, I'm in Berlin, in Germany.
And where are you, Anna?
I'm in Spain, near Valencia.
Near Valencia. So the reason that you're both there is that you, I guess, were displaced when the Ukrainian war started. And that's kind of why we sort of had the conversation. So I just want to kind of turn to that for a few minutes now and just learn about really the impact it's had on you and the company. And I think if I'm right in saying your company is based in Kharkiv, is it? So right on the sort of on the war line, as it were. So what has been the impact for the company and for yourselves and over the last year and a half?
Okay, and I can start with some small issues.
Sure.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, before COVID, we was like 90% and almost 100% in Kharkiv, and our home city. It's a city, compared to other European cities, pretty big. It's almost 2 million, and unfortunately, it's only 30 kilometers from Russian border. And just one day before a war, my friend who served in guards border guard, he just sent me a picture like a Russian artillery coming to the border. It was so scary to see. And frankly, for my side, I moved to Berlin a little bit like earlier, 2 years before, just to try and to live abroad. So I observed everything what happened in Ukraine a little bit from a side, but it's actually gave me a ground that I could help a lot of my friends, my families, and I was like on the stable position, so I could really make some difference in the first months of the war. And so after COVID, our team actually was spread over all Ukraine. So we also have this idea and feeling what is going on.
On the 24th of February 2022, this is the day when your life changes. And this is not just like the words. You just wake up early morning in your bed and you are absolutely disoriented. And what Pavel says, that he supported people and made them leave the city. The most complicated decision was to leave the city because you had no information if this is a safe journey or not a safe journey. How can you get to the borders to leave the country? And especially when you have the family, you feel responsible for the family. But as you're in the management of the team, you're responsible for the team as well. And Sloboda provides web and mobile software development services. And this gave us a huge advantage in comparison to other companies, because during the COVID days, we learned to work from home, or the mixed system, when you partially work from home and partially you work from the office. But in those situations, it was the case when in some you may not have the internet, or you didn't have any ways of connection with other people, or for example you had to work or have the calls from the basement or from the shelter or from the parking area. So and the most interesting things, as Pavel said, this about leadership. What I've learned and what made me so much, like, I can't find the reply that people in war behave as alcoholics, so you can't rely on them. So people do weird things. They some of them, they just neglect and say, oh, I can't hear anything. I can't hear the whistling, though you live like in the houses that stand nearby. And this is the most complicated things in terms of the person that you are. I'm kind of a person who has the crisis, and I'm really active and I try to solve the problem. But in case of war, when it started, you just don't know what to do. You don't know what is the right solution to stay safe for the family and for the company. But we did quite many interesting things in order to stay connected with our clients. And we knew definitely that we need to keep them, whatever we do, because this is the only opportunity for us to continue to have the work, to continue getting some other advantages that were extremely important for the company and for each of the person those days.
Wow. Yeah, I think the way you just said it then, the 24th of February, 2022, it you can just almost feel it in your voice. It must have, I think you would use words like just being totally disorientated. And I guess that's for a lot of people when you kind of hit a real stress point, or your business is really stressed. You might not be able to make payroll, or you lost a major customer, or something catastrophic has happened. And I would imagine a lot of entrepreneurs get disorientated. You don't necessarily know what to do, how to turn, or whatever it is. And I guess the body's way of dealing with it is kind of going to panic, or kind of doing that. So how did you cope personally when you kind of felt disorientated? How did you manage to galvanize and pull yourself together to be able to lead effectively?
Neil, if you don't mind, I would actually add something maybe kind of unexpected, but I would say as an entrepreneur, and a lot of my friends, especially and it's happened that a lot of my friends also from IT, actually we were really on the high note, if you say so. I mean, we were all highly mobilized as well. I mean, maybe it was easier for me a little bit because I was outside, but also I had huge stress because I had to evacuate my family, my relatives, my company, make secure funds, because you couldn't trust that time Ukrainian bank system. If you imagine you have like some big sum, you don't know if the country is going to be captured by Russia. Actually, nobody, I have to say that unfortunately, nobody believed that Ukraine actually can stand. And it's really thanks to Ukrainian army, Ukrainian people who did it. But I would say that a lot of also people within Ukraine and outside of Ukraine was extremely mobilized. Like enemy got in our doors, and in our houses, they bombed our cities. And imagine it's like your whole nervous system. Like imagine it's like your friends, your family, your colleagues, your people from your study at university. You read a lot of chats and just observe like Russian tanks and armies going by your city. And what a lot of, and like including me, we organized actually fund and started to collect money from our personal money from all international and all Ukrainians over all world. So maybe just to give you an idea, a lot of Ukrainians didn't feel, especially who went abroad, didn't feel themselves Ukrainians anymore.
I would like to add a couple of words. You've asked what made you feel like strong and continue to move forward.
Yeah.
I need to say that as soon as you make the decision to do something, you just made it. So go straight forward. even if it's a short planning. Okay, so today you have decided to leave the city and go to the western part of Ukraine. It's safer. So as soon as you've made this decision, this is like, it works, it doesn't work like magic, but it seems to you that you know something for sure. And the moment we made a decision that we are leaving, for example, with the family, we started to pack our stuff and leave the city and to move and not stop. And I really don't want you to tell the story how my kids went to the toilet while we were
All right.
I was driving. So we never stopped. So we were just continue our way, no stops, just to add some gas to the car. And the same with the company. People are in hesitations and they don't know what's the right decision. And you help them to make this decision. You do not make the decision instead of them, but you say, for example, I've decided to go. This is my plan. I can share it with you. And if the person is like hesitating, but he's ready to make the step, you just push the person. And then you become like, as a leader, you like pulling all the people to the right decision. The same as with the company. So, okay, there is so much communication and you need to concentrate like on short-term planning, short tasks, but they should you should be super effective, super. So this is your goals, number one. You don't think strategically where the company will be like in 2023, but you think, okay, so my main goal is, so the company is safe, clients informed, team is in the safe place, what we can do here. And then with the help of people who were abroad already and they had less pressure, they definitely, this was like the synergy, the same as Pavel said, all the Western countries, including UK, everything that you did, I have already told this, but I need to repeat, everything that you do, either from the company or from the country or your personal desire to help, this brings so much value to all the Ukrainians. It's almost 2 years we are in war, and definitely we now understand how to behave in these new circumstances. But the support that you continue to provide, this is amazing. So at this point, thank you so much for this. And as soon as you made the decision, go forward, don't stop.
Yeah.
And, if you don't mind, I just make some short notice. Sorry for this. But in Scaling Up book, there is idea when you meet on let's say on Monday morning, you have 5 minutes of personal news, and we made it like only positive news. And sometimes it's difficult with our employees because let's say, oh, sorry, I don't have any positive news because or my friend was died on the front or maybe rocket just fall and I just couldn't sleep because of some next rocket attack. And just mood of Ukraine, unfortunately, not going well because of this 2 years war. And it's like one side, which is difficult sometimes to apply and scaling up in this way. From other side, what we saw for employees is so important to continue to have some activities and work. They say that we would get mad if we would not have work. We have something to do. We have something to distract us from very scary news. So I think, like as Zelensky, if you know this phrase, he said on the first days of war, we don't need taxi, we need weapon. So I would say, like for Ukraine, we not only need weapon and money, but also we need work to do because it's keep Ukrainian motivation. And I believe actually that almost 10 million Ukrainians who went to Europe and actually bring in some new energy for the old Europe because I would say from they are similar maybe to American. I would say that we are hardworking. We don't understand 9 to 5. We just work as much as it's necessary. And this idea that business in Ukraine brings people not only money, but something stable mind because they have something to do. It's really crucial for people and what we can help to our employees.
What does the future hold for the company? And what are your plans for scaling up the company as we go forward?
As you said, scale up the company.
Okay.
But let me take a couple of words here. We are just in discussion of our financial plans for 2024 and seeing the results for 2023. And at 2023, we didn't manage to grow much. So we are on the same level in terms of the financial metrics. But for 2024, I see the opportunity for Sloboda Studio to become a larger company in terms of people, in terms of revenue. But for me, one of the most important things that I've learned with scaling up as well is that I need to think strategically about the services or the product that we provide, not only about the numbers. So now numbers is just a reflection of what we're doing. So, and our next strategy will be definitely, we will work hard with to increase the quality of the services that we provide, to become, as I say, this is, by the way, I found out at the event that we made in London, that I want us to be local for our clients, as most of our clients are located in America, United States, Europe, and the UK. So the strategy is to grow no matter what, even though the market doesn't show great growth, but for us, it's not the point. So we're not that huge that we will be influenced much by the whole market, but I really think we have the niche that we will move forward to. So growth. And what is interesting, and maybe this could be like an advantage for other people, not only from Ukraine, it's really great practice to hire people from different countries and different locations, because people bring different culture. Definitely, it's much more complicated to communicate and understand people. But as soon as you bring new people into your company, you get new culture opportunities. You understand the market better, or the people better. This synergy happens, and this really shows great result in terms of work.
Very good.
Yeah, I would add that on the book, which is just behind your head, on scaling up, there's like first, just orange things. It's actually people, and I think it's what thanks to Anna, we actually really changing a lot. We from one side educating or forks, just providing some education sessions, inviting, like we hope to also work with scaling up. And also to hire, as you mentioned, one of the role of CEO is to hiring A players, and I think it's one of our strategy to hire new A players and to train old A players. What is current there. About in terms of strategy, we see some more limitations with how we can improve our delivery side, how we can provide much better services. I got recently one idea that as soon as your customers say wow on your work, it's time to make your prices higher, right? And I mean, maybe 10 times, but in our case, it's 10%, and something what we try to achieve. And besides, also in our basically outsourcing, outstaffing, and services what we provide in, also it's a good idea to find maybe a niche where we can earn more, like on gross margin. It's something what I would focus the next 2 years, and something what we put in our one-page strategy plan. Actually, very nice tool.
Well, as they say, the riches are in the niches. So figuring out where those niches are, you can make your good money makes a lot of sense. So final question to you both. Pavel, what book are you reading right now? Anna, what book are you reading or listening to right now?
From good to great. This is one of my favorite books for now. I love it. But it's scaling up, of course.
Well, of course. Just in case Bern's listening, I'm sure he will be. He'll be delighted to hear that. If you're reading Good to Great, once you've read that, I'd highly recommend Great by Choice as well by Jim Collins. Much better book for mid-market companies. So once you finish reading that, but make sure you get the right people on the bus, and making the main thing, and face out the brutal facts, all good stuff. Pavel, how about you?
Actually, I'm such a person who cannot read just one book. So I read maybe like 5 books all simultaneously.
Right.
It depends on my mood when I feel tired. So one is actually I'm trying to read Scaling Up, but frankly, it's such a book that's so much interesting content that you just read and you just imagine I need to implement it. I don't want to read filler. I just want to implement, and just so much information. It's such nice. And I think as you can read this book maybe 5 times and you just get something new from this. The second book I've written is 10 times is easier than 2x, easier and faster than 2x is framework from Dan Sullivan. It's some coach. And this idea that you should actually focus on something what bring you values, and just throw everything away what's not, and just trying to experiment with something new and something what really makes me enthusiastic. And next book is Outliers. It's bestseller on this year. It's actually how you can live up to 100 years. And I want to live longer and healthy as soon as possible. Yeah, and something other books about health. And by the way, what I found about myself, we call it like propaganda. Like in Russia, there is propaganda for like Putin and other stuff. For myself, when I read books about entrepreneurship and about health, it's really provide me some mood, and I don't need the discipline to do something because I'm already in such a state of mind that it's easily for me to do something. So I can suggest to use propaganda on your own source, on your own like win. Yeah.
Beautiful. Pavel, Anna, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the Entrepreneurs at Scale podcast. It's just mind-blowing, your story and what you've done and how you've overcome all the challenges, and that talking about scaling up with everything. You're kidding, how do you just keep going rather than just scaling up? So very best of luck for the future. I'm sure you'll absolutely kick it out of the park, and maybe we'll bring you back on the show in a couple of years' time just to hear about the difference you made and hopefully the war's finished and things are in a much better place. So then once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Neil, and good luck to you too. Thank you. It was great speaking to you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting, and hope to let's speak in 2 years how we actually provide our services and strategy. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Entrepreneurs at Scale podcast. If you'd be kind enough to leave a review, it would really help other like-minded entrepreneurs find the podcast and grow our community. Click on the subscribe button to be kept in the loop for all future podcasts, and go to the show notes for additional reading resources and links to our guest. Until next time, thank you so much.